Audio Jungle.
Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 3 of Back to the Bogies. We're here in the hut today and we're joined by the UCFL Honorary Secretary Ian Webb. Ian, it's great to have you on. Thanks so much for joining us.
No worries.
So Ian, just to kind of start off.
Hang on, Séan, I'm standing in for someone today. Where's that Gar fella?
Gar's in Krakow and
He's in Krakow again.
Drinking back-to-back weekends on this, you know. Doesn't take this.
The end of last weekend, was it?
Honestly, we need to sack him. This year chance now. So obviously I'm joined by Ruairi as well. He's usually behind the camera there on his computer, making sure that Garrett doesn't talk shy for half the podcast. We're here for about 3 hours.
Now I'm doing his job as the co-host today.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
Co-host? Oh, I didn't know. I thought I was the co-host.
No, you're the host. I'm the co-host.
Right. Yeah. No, great to have you, Ruairi. So obviously, Ian, I wanted to probably jump straight into your role in the UCFL as new secretary. If we'd like to kind of take it back to where that all started and how you got involved within that role.
Yeah, so it probably started 2017, 2018. There was a subcommittee at the time with a number of people that had a voluntary interest in terms of going in and helping the league. I can't remember what the exact title was, but we met 3 or 4 times out in the Spa Hotel, I think it was. And we just kind of gave our impression of what works well within the league, what could be better, what we dislike, and what the actual agreements we could have from, like, what can we actually challenge in terms of league rules and kind of just the way the league works. So it lasted 3 or 4 meetings over 6 or 9 months. One of the guys off the executive, John Fraser, would have kind of chaired their meetings. And it was kind of, we had a list then that we said, like, we don't like this rule could be better, you know, just the general flow of how the league works. And I can't really remember how I put my hand up for that. Probably at a league awards or a management meeting or something like that.
Yeah.
And Aaron Murphy, who couldn't make it today, Aaron was manager of Castle Celtic at the time, now Larkview. And he joined the executive committee maybe, I think it was in around 2019 mark. And then COVID obviously happened in March 2020. Yeah. And I started getting phone calls from Pork, who's the now chairman, then secretary of the league. Pork rang me 3 or 4 times, the vetting process as we call it, yeah. And eventually then, by that summer, give or take, like 2020 again, it was all on Zoom. And I joined. It was unofficial. I was seconded on until the following AGM, the following May, which would be May 2021, when I was officially elected onto the committee. And then did 2 years as a general member. And then 2023, took over as secretary for Pork. Pork moved into the chairman role. Barney, the ex-chairman and ex-chairman of the LFA, wasn't too well and has unfortunately since passed away 6 or 7 months ago. So he'd stepped back then just to be a normal committee member, but unfortunately he wasn't able to really attend meetings for maybe 3 or 4 months after that. And that's how it's been ever since. There's 8 of us on the committee that meet every week, sometimes in person and sometimes on Teams or Zoom.
Yeah.
I was actually to either sit closer or just speak louder.
Yeah.
That's right. I suppose just to get into the more granular bits. So how did Pork, for example, get you into the UCFL? What did he say to you? How did he get you?
I had to blame Aaron for one.
Okay.
I don't think the lads would mind me saying that the age dynamic on the committee was quite old in terms of kind of day-to-day work. You know, some of the guys, you know, wouldn't be as tech savvy as naturally would that have come to people in their kind of 20s and 30s. Aaron had joined. I would have kept in contact with Aaron, obviously being in the same division, and we'd see each other a couple of times a year at different functions. And he'd kind of been in my ear saying, look, there's a spot there. Do you want to do it? I'll get Pork to ring you. So conversations with Pork, just getting to know one another, seeing what my scope was, seeing what experience I had, and being on committees in the job. In terms of kind of sport, I ran a few 5-a-sides in the bank over the last kind of 10 years and kind of knew what committee work looked like. We were involved in the tennis club in Glasnaíon since I'm a kid, and got thrown into committee work there as well. So kind of something that came naturally.
Yeah.
Surprisingly maybe, but like I had a bit of experience, you know, even though I was probably on about 32, 33 going on the UCFL committee. But it was just like, yeah, I've done this for 10 years in different ways, and every committee's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So did you go in straight as secretary, or did you
No,
work away up?
I wouldn't say work my way up. But I had a couple of years where I was just giving the thing out and kind of slowly but surely just not really having an opinion to actually starting to just be more involved. And then the decision, we knew, like, you know, Barney wasn't too well. We knew we'd need to do a little bit of a shake up. I think Park had been secretary for close to 20 years. And originally I said no. Aaron said no. You know, I think none of the lads really wanted to follow on from Park after doing it for 20, 25 years. You know, Noel wasn't really in a position to do it because he's so busy being fixture secretary, and I'd be talking to Séan a good bit. So like, and was his value was absolutely staying there. So eventually Park twisted my arm enough that he said, you know, I'll give you a hand. We'll get some of the guys that are assistant secretary to help you in little things that take minutes. Like regularly over Thursday, I have my AirPods in and I'm in the car, or I'm coming from work. You know, Aaron, it would be similar. Like, we're on the go all the time. A lot of the guys are retired or semi-retired. So part of the trade-off for me doing was like, you know, I'm not going to be able to take minutes all the time. Like, rarely do I even have the camera on, because like most weeks at some point I'm in the car, some weeks I'm still in the office. So that was the trade-off. We use like a couple of the lads, Paddy and John, will help take the minutes, just do the other bits. So reluctantly took it, but I think everyone takes these things reluctantly at the start.
And if we go back then, you mentioned the subcommittee. That sounded really interesting, because
it was very good. We had 1, 2, 3, 6, I think, on it at the time.
From like across the leagues, like
on different divisions in different parts of the city. And again, even the secretaries are people that are involved. Most of them were club secretaries, I think, or managers.
Yeah.
And we trashed out a few things that we didn't like. Like, you know, the league is in a phase, and still is in a phase of transition, where we're trying to future-proof it. We're trying to modernise it, using the app, improving all elements, even the manager meetings, moving into, more reliable teams where we can record minutes, and, anything that we've done, or certainly myself and Aaron, since we've come in, has kind of been like trying to modernise, trying to get us to a point where we make things easy for ourselves, which maybe we were on the road, maybe not doing that. When I came in, there's a lot of work from all 10 or all 8 as it is now of the guys on committee getting FAI Connect live. A couple of challenges from, are we ready for it? Again, you guys were only really coming in, when it came in, but it was there, and how to use it, getting the referees on board, getting the registrations done properly, so all of that was just, another strand of just trying to bring the league forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the FI Connect, for us, it was fine, because we're a young club, only a couple of years old. So a lot of us be more tech savvy and stuff like that. And so it kind of worked well for us. But that's like clubs that are
don't ask the hard questions. Was there any pushback from the referees on this?
Yeah. The referees have, as a whole, been brilliant. Like, I, for one, don't see how anyone could reasonably think filling out a wet, damp, scribbled piece of paper on the side of the pitch is easier for anybody. I'm left-handed and have terrible handwriting. I can barely make out my own teams on some of them match cards. So, when you look at them back and then seeing other teams. So, change is difficult for everyone. Sound like I'm talking on work, like people struggle with change at different times. And there was a bit of a fear, I won't be able to do that, from clubs, from committee members, from referees as well. But slowly but surely, I have a log for this season of, club issues, which clubs are struggling to confirm their teams. And, anyone knows that they can give us a call or drop us a WhatsApp if they're having any difficulties. You know, I'll get back to most people as quick as I can, but that's probably more on the referee side now as well. There's some great referees that I've been using if you connect from an underage schoolboy football, and Paul Allen, Pearson Kitcher, QB using it on a weekly basis, and the refs now will just give one of the lads a ring as well. So like everyone's helped each other. It was probably a little bit slower than we had envisaged at the start, but I can't say that there was anyone that was completely against it. We're certainly not want to admit this.
That's good. You touched on it a little bit in terms of how you met Aaron, for an example. So Glasnaíon, where did that start? When was Glasnaíon founded?
We're going into our 25th year, so it was created in 2000. Very good. By the O'Shaughnessy brothers and friends.
It's not our O'Shaughnessy's.
Yeah, we have two.
Don't think it's them. It's definitely not them.
No. Lucky you, it's not. So Colin, who's still our club secretary, set things up back in 2000, and through friends and through kind of the locality, a lot of the guys would have been with some Belvedere connections, Dublin 11, like probably similar enough to where we are now. They started things. I played as, shouldn't really admit this, I played as a banger in transition year. I was still playing for Talca Rovers at the time, and they'd a cup, their goalkeeper got injured. I played in goal at the time and still do occasionally. He got injured and they had 2 or 3 matches to get promoted, so I needed to go in. I think it was 15, I'm only being 16. When I first started, it was my primary school teachers, his son played for the team and he kind of managed the team, and he was talking to mum and dad and the local, and he was like, is Ian still playing in goal? You need a goalkeeper for next week. So that was,
to clarify, this is for an underage Glasnaíon team or a senior team? Senior team.
15 or 16.
Yeah.
Jeez, you get a few of them.
They must have been very facially mature at that point.
I can't really. All I remember from the matches, I made a save in the 90th minute. I 1-0 up and stamped on some guy who looked about 50 at the time, but's probably younger than me now. In hindsight, and he had to be stretchered off. So I always, was never sure if I actually broke his leg, but that was it. So I played 6 or 7 games towards the end of that season, and
how did you get promoted in the end?
I haven't a clue.
I
think so. I just went, put a pair of gloves on and played.
He wouldn't have got a medal. His name's not on the name's not on the roster.
Yeah. They wouldn't have paid for an extra one anyway. So from there, I got to know the lads, and I was playing with Talca. Spent a year with we finished at under 17s. Played for the Willows, played out in Verona for a couple of months and broke a tongue, which doesn't help when you're playing a goal. So I missed most of that season. And then I came back at 20-ish and joined properly.
Not as a banger.
No. That was like proper registered. We 2 teams at the time. First team were really strong. They had a good kind of nucleus of guys from Derry and Donegal. They were really, really strong. And I kind of was playing for the seconds. I did my cruciate and did my knee and did my shoulder 3 years in a row. So that's probably how I ended up going down the admin quite early, because I think I had 2 games in 3 years.
Right. And are you doing admin stuff for Glasnaíon now?
Yeah. So Collie's taking a bit of a step back just with work and things like that. And yourself and Stephen Funston look after the running, the day-to-day of the club.
Right.
And then we've help from some of the guys looking after the second team now as well.
Yeah.
But we'd be at most matches. Obviously, if the 2 teams are playing at the same time, we can't split. But yeah, we do an awful lot of stuff in the background. Admin, we're still, 2 teams, and we'll probably be 2 teams for the near future anyway. But the admin would fall for the guys looking after the first team as it stands.
Yeah, so how would the hierarchy structure then work for Glasnaíon? Obviously, for us, we have 3 board members, and then we have our managers and coaches, and kind of falls into place.
Yeah, so
I was really interested, really, because on our first podcast, we kind of discussed the hierarchy we have and the subcommittees and stuff like that. So we're just looking for what do Glasnaíon have.
Well, I won't admit to being called a control freak all the time, but generally, so Colin as the secretary, and myself and Stevie will be in contact with him kind of on a regular enough basis. We'd have a meeting, we'd meet up wherever. If we're in the office, we'd meet in Santry, or in a sub office, we'd meet in Santry, or we'd meet in town and go around that route. A lot of it now, and you guys can't really attest to it, is a lot of it just comes with experience. You kind of just know how things run.
Yeah.
Like, Sealy's very organised, and I'm probably getting there a little bit, and you kind of just know, you kind of have a log of what needs to be done. We'd hold infrequent enough meetings then with the lads if we need to shape them up in terms of paying subs or sorting out fundraisers. Like, we've a wide range of players from now under 18-year-olds at the minute. We've kind of 19-year-olds all the way up to Stephen played today for a seconds. I think he's 43, 44. Like, so it's a wide range from all backgrounds, from guys from Dublin, lots of guys from outside Dublin, and some non-national lads that have come in as well. Different work situations, education situations, whether they have kids as well. So fundraising and subs, like club subs and money in is the biggest chaser that we have. And we're not using any of the apps that some clubs use. We just haven't gone down that route. So we try and chase lads. Some are better than others. Again, like, I'm sure you have similar issues that, like, some guys have financial issues, or they're working part-time, or they're paying high rent, and to be like, come here, I might be able to afford X. Can I pay Y this month?
Yeah.
Some may not be that upfront and need a bit of a kick every now and then as well. Like, as I'd say, it costs to go to $6 or $7 to run two teams over the course of a season. So we've a really good sponsor in Kieran's Funeral Home, and they've been with us now since 2018, 2019.
Nice little plug.
Absolutely, yeah, if they're watching that. And David and Seamus, who've kind of been running things down there, like, they've looked after kits for us, or winter training, and obviously is just Astros, which obviously cost a fortune, and especially cost a fortune now with two teams. Like, we're averaging 25 minimum, maybe 30 at training. So one cage isn't enough. We're training at Trinity Sports up on Santry Avenue there, and one cage used to be enough to maneuver whatever coaching session we were going to do. We'd love a full-size Astro if you're going to get like a third of a pitch or half a pitch.
Yeah.
And it would cost us probably the same. We just don't have access. Again, like a lot of small pop-up clubs in Dublin and the UCFL, one of the biggest challenges is facilities.
Yeah, it's the biggest challenge for us. Like, we're lucky we have the Bogies had their 9-a-side pitch there that we use. We have 2 sessions there for first team, and then second team training down in the Deaf Village. But we're lucky to get them, and then, we all want more 11-a-side Astro pitches, but there's such a shortage of them across.
And any
Dublin.
Any Astros that there are, there tends to be really well established either League of Ireland clubs in the vicinity, or Leinster senior teams, or the biggest challenge is the GA clubs.
Yeah.
So look, I know there's plenty of clubs that train, like, they get the 9 to 10 slot, which is difficult. And, we've a lot of younger lads that are kind of in trades, and they're up at 5:30, 6 in the morning. You don't really want to be getting back to training at 10:30 at night. Like, it's difficult. And we haven't got to that stage where we've even got that option, but I know from previous conversations in other clubs, it's the biggest challenge. It's most definitely facilities. Our pitch today, city council pitch, is struggling. I'm sure you boys are the same. It's starting to show a bit of wear and tear. Yeah, we've had a great start to the season. 0 matches called off in the third weekend of November is fantastic for all clubs across the UCFL. So hopefully we're not in the same bad situation we were in last year. But it does take its toll on the pitches, and I wouldn't take much for a city council pitch with limited quality to it isn't called off 3-4 weeks in a row.
Yeah. So if any government officials are watching, where our vote lies.
The election's coming up.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry, that's it. I'm sorry. I've said that to my lads. If you're talking to somebody, I'm trying to push our guys to register to vote. And as a conversation of mention, you play football at that grassroots level, facilities in Dublin 11 or, Dublin 9, Dublin 11 are really poor. There's plenty of parks, but the Astros and the facilities and all like winter training in a country like ours is really bad.
Yeah, it really is.
Just to stick to Glasnaíon for 1 second, if I've done my research correct, you were a player manager at one point. Still.
Where'd you find that?
Just a simple Google search.
Connect. Yeah. still, I actually played every match. I played every match this season. I was
picking yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's something
I'm not putting myself up front anymore, which a lot of people had issue with for years. But
would you believe that came up on the Google search as well? It was you and Heffernan or something?
Andy Hederman.
Hederman.
Yeah.
Was you and him were vying for top scorer at some point?
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Yeah, 2017, I think. I did pip him. Just for the record, he voted me. He won't like it.
He was about to score the last game of the season. You're taking him off.
Yeah, that has happened. Yeah, no, player managed since we went from 2 teams to 1 and had a bit of a summer of not really knowing where the club was going. The main bunch of players that didn't leave were the second team, which were Division 3 or so, and we had 3 or 4 lads from the first team remained, and we'd enough for a squad. And it was, do we go and stay in Division 3 or do we go to the Premier and just chance our arm? The Premier went through a big transition that summer, and we just said, right, it wasn't actually me. I was probably pushing towards Division 3 at the time. Again, this is going back a long time, 2016, 2017. And we just said, go on, let's try it. What's the worst thing that can happen? And we went and we ended up coming 3rd. Again, it was a weak Premier. I wouldn't shy away from that. And VC won it comfortably. And I think Aston Village at the time were a good club. I think they came 2nd. I think we came 3rd. But, and we remained there. We were bottom half every year. Didn't come last any season. And again, with the way the UCFL works, again, another thing we're trying to get better at, that the order of merit remains for the following season. So promotion or relegation is active, probably hasn't been as active as we would have liked in recent times, or certainly since I went on the committee. But yeah, at the time of Glasnaíon, we were like 9th, 8th, 6th, 8th. Before eventually in 2022, we lost like 7 or 8 of our first team squad as well, just with lads getting older, guys wanting to just try something different. So we went back to 1 team for 2 or 3 years, and we're back with 2 teams now for the last, this is our 2nd season back with 2 teams.
So when did you start becoming player manager? That was 6 years, 7 years now, longer?
I was doing it when I was a second team. My dad ran the team for a couple of years, and then I popped my kneecap badly in a match, and he said, I can't be watching that anymore. And from then I brought my cousin in to help. So we kind of did it as joint for maybe 2 seasons. But yeah, probably from 25, 26 or whatever year that'd be. Yeah, 2015 or so.
Oh, 9 years.
And just the last thing on Glasnaíon then. Yeah, touch on the successes. Obviously, if you're a player coach, that's nearly 10 years.
Sorry, we've had some great days, had some really bad kind of spells, and in the Premier as a first team, like we lost our first 11 games in 2017, 2018 season, and didn't know where to look, and brought in a mate of mine who played for it. We had a 3rd team a long time ago for a season, who was doing his coaching badges and wanted a bit of experience with adult teams, and he came in then in the December. And we ended up, I think we had 18 points out of a possible 24. The back end of the season, got to the Shield final in the Premier and beat Harding on penalties to win the Premier Shield, which, again, the Shield is a competition at the end of the season it's split, top half of the league, bottom half of the league, play each other, and then the winners from the top plays the winner at the bottom at the end.
We have great memories of that. Séan doesn't, we do.
That was, I knew you had.
The football is still travelling to this day.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I
remember that penalty. Yeah, the snow on it. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, that's the positive of the Shield, where teams that haven't been having a good start to the season end up in the bottom half, get a bit of a run, and you get some silverware at the end of the year. So it has its positives. That was a great day for us. Like, we still have the video of the penalty shootout long before VO or any of them things came out. We had the video of that. So that was probably our best day. Couple of really good cup runs, a couple of runs in some of the external cups when we had a good first team. And then won the league the last 2 years. The first year when we only had 1 team, Last year we went back to 2 teams, and then this year we got double promoted, which is the right thing to do, and we're competitive now this year. It's very competitive, Division 1, wide open in terms of who's going to win it.
Yeah.
But we're holding our own as it stands. Like, we've, a good bunch of younger guys that have come in and work hard, and as far as I'm concerned, will be the future when we all eventually retire. And we'll be able to bring Glasnaíon forward and hopefully be competitive for a few more years yet.
No, it's brilliant. Like, for like the success of what was unbelievable to be around for 25 years is incredible. Though.
Has it always been UCFL?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's always been UCFL. Don't think we looked to leave at any stage. It's certainly not in my time as kind of in an admin capacity. We haven't. Yeah, it's a good bunch. Like, you have people you can ask, any players, and that can vary about the runs through. Probably is the older that you get because people stop playing. But you've some good lads that are, always asking their mates to come down, and you just find, you get one, got a new guy only a couple of weeks ago from Carlo. His mate joined us maybe 8 or 9 weeks ago, and he was like, I might have another mate, and that 2 or 3 ask another 2 or 3, and that's just how it rolls for as long as it actually keeps going. We'd be very much the competition between the 2 teams. We wouldn't, don't know how you guys do, but
very safe, pretty much.
Yeah, it's fairly open, and we do want a little bit more mixing of both squads, whether that's some of the guys on the second team doing a lot better to move up to be in the first team squad. That can take patience, which I know everyone doesn't have great patience, so it might mean sitting on a bench for a couple of weeks, getting a couple of minutes, and then 2-3 weeks or 2-3 matches after that starting for the first team. That can be difficult for some of the younger guys.
Yeah.
And in the same case, some of the older guys that may not be performing for the first team, it makes sense to us running the club to, take a step back, go play a couple of matches for the second team. If you're competitive, if your performance aren't good enough, don't even start for the second team, and work kind of hand in hand then with both clubs. I know plenty of the clubs in the UCFL, first team, second teams, have minimal contact with one another. That's just not the model that we've chosen. I'm not saying either way is right or wrong, but the model we have is kind of try keep everybody together. It can be a headache on a Friday when you're trying to work out squads, or nowadays trying to put your squads up on Connect and trying to see, right, well, you're starting at that time, you're starting at that time. Do we want somebody to do a bench here or do a starting place there? Sometimes, but yeah, it's an ongoing piece of work, but that's the model that we've chose to use.
I think we've found similar, not issues, but similar circumstances, situations this year. So we only set up our second team, the season just started. That's something that we were unanimous about, was we don't want a first team and a second team. We want one club that has 2 teams. Yeah. So similar model to what you have. And it has its issues, it has its problems, but for a club, first team lads get along really well, the second team lads, vice versa, and so on.
Yeah,
I think it has to be that way.
It's. I'd be lying if I said some of the lads probably don't like the route we've taken, but I think it's the fairest, and I think from an admin, from running the club perspective, I think we've the best intentions. Looking for people to the second team. The aspiration should be, and I keep saying this, the aspiration is you should want to play first team eventually. That's the goal. That should make the second team better. That should make the competition on the second team better, which in turn should make the competition on the first team better. That's how it should work. I think that's the best way for it to work. Whether, and if anyone thinks it should be done differently, I will have that conversation or that debate with them.
So going on to your experience of playing against us as a club, I think the start of the season we played against each other. You were in goal that game, actually. We lost 2-1. I was absolutely gutted coming off that pitch. I was like, I felt personally we should have won that game by a lot of goals, but it's kind of been the story of our season. I'm sure
the goalkeeper organised things really well for Glasnaíon that day. I didn't shut up for the 90 minutes because, I knew I'd be coming on this eventually, so I didn't want any bragging rights to go to you guys. When it comes to new clubs coming in, I'm always a little bit worried. I don't speak on behalf of the other lads. You never really know are they a group of lads that are all really, really good somewhere else and had a falling out? Again, I could go on to an absolute tangent in terms of how easy it is to set up a club in football in Dublin or in Ireland, and it shouldn't be as easy, as it is. If you two boys had an argument tomorrow, you could actually go, you have 2 teams, and then you go off and set up another club football somewhere else. It is too easy, and it isn't something. It is something I know the FAI are looking at with some of the strategic pieces that you need to have extra infrastructure in place to have your team set up, and I'm all for that. So we played each other. It was the second match of the season, I think. It was the Wednesday. It was
the only maybe game.
It was the Wednesday evening. Like, you come up against new clubs, you don't know what you're going to get. Take it back maybe a season to when the team or the club, I think I was part of the interview panel with the guys at the time, and you never know if every team has to be put in the bottom division. That's fine, and I understand the reasons why. There's probably an apprehension that you don't want to get thumped every week and the team will be, disbanded by October or November. If you have some of your better players, you might want to say, well, they might need a while to kind of bed themselves into the divisions. So you just don't know really what's going to happen with any of the new clubs. Like, every season, you will probably find a new team or a new club that enters the UCFL will win something, whether it's a cup or whether it's a league. And that's just the nature of any amateur sport. You don't really know the level of people. But, finding you guys from the very, very start, I think, local enough. So we were probably a little bit surprised that more players from Glasnaíon didn't know more players from Phibsborough. For whatever reason, like, there's only really kind of 10 minutes in the car away from another, and lads that went to school together. There's 1 or 2 that I know of our boys, that I know 1 or 2 of your boys, but not so much. And like, from a greedy, selfish perspective, you do think, if you do see a north side team, from my perspective, you do be thinking, like, Jesus, where are they getting their pool of players from? Like, why can't I tap into that? You do, because you do become greedy, as I said. That bad player that you sign in July might have 2 or 3 mates that are excellent. So like, it genuinely doesn't really matter. You take a lad down a train and you'd be like, Jesus, you can't kick snow off a rope. But he might have 2 mates that are going to come down the following week that end up being your 2 best players. So like, I would never turn anyone away. Some guys, I'll put this diplomatically, aren't really suited to playing 11-a-side football, and we've all had plenty of them over the years and all clubs, and I'm sure you've seen 1 or 2 maybe cross through your doors in the kind of 18 months that you guys are in existence. But from a league perspective, I'll go back to from a league capacity, very well ran, very orderly. Don't be annoying me too much on a Thursday and Friday
about the start of the season.
About getting players registered. When on the pitch, I don't know if you've had a red card in the 18 months.
Yeah, last few weeks we've had a few.
Have you? Okay, I missed them. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah,
didn't keep it that way.
We'll keep on. Seamus will have a record of them all. But yeah, generally speaking, the club have been model club to deal with. Like, there's been no issues in any way, whether it's, facilities wise. I know the Bogies is actually a very well ran Dublin City Council park. And, facilities, pitches have always been marked, looking well, nets, flags, all of that stuff has been, all the basics that some people struggle with has always been very good. From our perspective, obviously we won 2-1 this season in the league game, tight match. And I will say, yes, maybe you deserved the point potentially, but glad you didn't get it.
No, Sean missed a great 1-on-1 against you in the first half.
I think he missed 2. Yeah,
2?
Yeah.
He definitely missed 1.
The camera roll.
I have a photo of him like just about to strike the ball. I think it went over the bar. You were probably almost on the edge of your box. It was a great chance. Easier probably to score than to miss.
Podcast just criticising some.
Well, this is what we're here for.
I think I mentioned definitely Connect and registrations as he was running through, so his head exploded. But yeah, generally speaking, yeah, like, it's hard, and like, if genuinely, to go back to, you don't know what you're getting into when you set yourselves up as a new club. If you don't have immediate success, like lots of clubs have had, and some people are really looking for, you kind of might take you 2 or 3 years to find your level and find your kind of nucleus of players and what you're actually looking to achieve. Like, as I said, we're 25 years old, and we fully would be aware of the level and what direction we're going. And, you know, obviously silverware is everyone's aim at the start of the season, but to realistically know 6 or 7 games in how you're going to fare in the league. And you guys are still in that infancy kind of phase where you probably haven't really found, you know, what the goals are, like, you know, to be as successful as you can. But like, you know, as guys running the club, that opinion probably needs to change every couple of months, depending on how things are going. And if we lose players, and again, if you get more new players in, you know, can you target a cup? Can you target the Séan? But at the end of the season, to define what success is for you in the particular season.
That's it. I think the first 2 seasons was just kind of finding the culture of the club and where we wanted to go, because like we lost a lot of games. Like when I took over
under Sean's tutelage, by the way.
So I'll finish the story.
There you go.
I know I'm not going to
the first 6 games we lost like 6-1, like literally 6 times in a row. But like every single week, and this comes down to the lads that are there, and the lads even that we brought in this season, like it's unbelievable that we're second team after 3 seasons. That's a success by itself. And all the lads that come in, they're all committed, down 18 every single time we went through that patch. And it's just building that culture of...
we had 2 full 18s today, didn't we?
Yeah.
2 full 18s,
which is brilliant. And then the end of last season, we took a turn for the second season. We were in, I think we won 13 games in the league. There was a couple of games there, like every team, you think, God, should have been there, could have finished second or whatever. But like...
What league was in last year, remind me?
3B. Yeah, the first year, second year, and then we're in 3A for the first team and 3B for the second team this year. But like going off what you were saying with Glasnaíon, like for us to get to the Shield final after 2 seasons is success in itself. Like, so
I think like we're starting to find our core kind of squad, the lads that hopefully will be around, have been around for a few years and will be around for a few years to come.
Yeah.
And that's been great, because the first year you have lads that are down, as much as we know as well, we don't know how long the club's going to last. So we have lads, I'm not around this weekend and so on, and we're relying on them. And then the second year, they're a little bit more committed. And then the third season, as we're finding now, lads are even more committed. And once other players, like players from other clubs and stuff like that, or free agents, let's say, they see, oh, you've been around for 3 years now, that there's a bit of sustainability there. That helps. Like, I'm not just going to come down for a year and then I'll have to find somewhere else again. It's like I can come down for, 2, 3, 4, whatever their plan is.
Yeah. Like we've set kind of standards, and we had kind of trying to implement values for Glasnaíon, and like it's like number 1 is the kind of the communication piece. So, I front load the payments for training just because that's how it's easy for us. We don't have a club debit card, so I'll pay it and get the money back from Collie after every couple of weeks. But to manage that, if you can't make training, you let me know. You don't let my number 2 know. You don't let the second team manager or his number 2 know, or one of your mates. You let me know, and you tell me why. And like that kind of instills a little bit of ownership and accountability on the players. Some don't do it all the time, and that will go into my back pocket for when I need to bring it up. But like if somebody messages me to say, here, I'm stuck late in work, or I have an assignment due in ample time, like, and I'm kind of saying before midday on the day of training, anything after that, like, you'll get a little bit suspicious. But like not showing up is just not an option. And if anyone thinks it's an option, very soon after a few months, they'll be pulled up or they'll be asked to pack their bags. And like, that's not a threat. That's just the way we want things to work. It's respect towards myself and Stevie, or the guys running the second team. It's respect to them, their own teammates, to know, well, are we going to have, our Liverpool playing in the Champions League? Oh, I'm not coming, or I'm just not telling you. Like, sometimes I've even said, like, lads, if you want to just a night off and you need to just lie politely, you're stuck in work, you have to babysit, you have to do whatever, just lie politely to me, but do it in ample time so I know by 2:00 that if I need to ring Trinity to say, can I cancel on the pitches tonight, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like, the price has gone up, and I'm sure you're well aware of Astros. And for people just to be like, I just won't go tonight because it's a bit cold, I'm a bit tired. There's a match on the telly. That's just not an option. And again, like, that's where some of the lads are a little bit like, you know, oh, I didn't know I had to tell you, but like very early, it's not a code of conduct. I can't remember exactly the name of the document that we have, but I will share that in the WhatsApp before the season, and then haphazardly as the season goes on, which explains fees and explains, you know, how I want players to conduct themselves, especially in terms of, you know, respect to referees, opposition, which, again, taking my role as club person and league person into account there, you know, I have to nearly hold my players to a higher account because, you know, I'm representing the club, but I'm also representing the league. If I have my players or my teams going bananas at the opposition or referees, like, I'm going to hear about it very quickly from the rest of the guys on committee. So I have to have my ducks in a row, have to have my club in order in order to actually enforce that across the whole group of divisions, to whatever it is, 66 teams or whatever that we had this season. So, you know, some of the players, some days we're like, oh, why? Like, I just didn't come training. And it's just not something that I really accept.
So it's a lot of respect. Like, the amount of work that the lads put in, you know, it's your non-negotiables, as you're saying there, you know. So they have to be respected throughout the season to be able to run the whole play. Yeah,
and like sometimes, like, you know, as we've always said, like, you know, even for, you know, if you're training, you know, straight away, you know, to let the guys know that, like, you're non-negotiable Monday, but we train on Monday and Wednesday. If you have an issue, if you've work, other commitments, like, this is an amateur league, you know, football, some people might think it does, but certainly doesn't come first for any of us doing this. We all have families, we all have jobs, we all have, like, education or whatever, everything in the background. But, like, just show us a bit of respect. Like, I've even got to the stage now where, like, if somebody says I can't train, I'll go back and I will pry and I'll be like, why? And like, we've told you to make yourself available on Monday and Wednesday nights. If you can't, and it'd be a legitimate reason, tell me. You know, if it's something super secretive or super, you know, if there's some big issue, just tell us. Like, you know, we'll respect that you have other commitments. Of course we do. We're not playing in the Premier League.
Yeah. And it's that ownership piece that I talked about, like, own body in our club this season. If you're not able to make training, and like, if it's work or college, whatever, throw into the chat. Makes them accountable then, you know.
Like, we've a sheet, like, accountability sheet now. It's just a Google calendar for lads if we know we're away. Obviously, I know, you know, weeks and weeks in advance for myself what my commitments are. First team lads are really good at it. Younger guys in the seconds probably aren't as good. Now, they wouldn't have as many stags and weddings, you know, because the age profile is that little bit younger. But it's a case of just let us know, like, you know, it's all about communication, and the lads will be sick to the teeth here. We say this both on the pitch but off the pitch now as well. Give us the information. If we have it, we can deal with it. You know, it's just all about that two-way communication. Like, it builds respect and it builds trust with their peers in the team.
That's it. And then it builds success for the football club throughout the future.
That's it, exactly. If you can't make training a few Wednesdays in a row because, you know, work is bananas, like, you know, as much as I know other clubs do this, and I think it's a good idea. Like, they will say, right, well, you need to post your 5K or your 10K, depending on what the club is. Post it into the chat on the days you can't make training. Like, that means, because otherwise it means, like, from Saturday to Saturday, there's a good chance that you haven't got off the couch. At least that'll show to your peers, well, it's like, all right, you can't train, but you used to put in the effort in with a 5K. I think one of the teams says that you need to be able to do the 5K in under 28 minutes. You know? Yeah.
It's like they'd be trying.
Yeah. So, but, like, that's where it'll be like, okay, yeah, we're not using it quite yet, but, like, we're not too far away from saying something similar like that. If there was a trend of lads just not showing up for whatever reason, but again, luckily we haven't had to bring that in.
Yeah.
So, plenty to talk about Glasnaíon, but let's just bring it back to UCFL to finish off.
Yeah.
I suppose not to pry too much, but, like, where does UCFL as a board, let's say, see the league in 5 or 10 years, or where do you see the league or want the league to be in 5 or 10 years?
Good question. I do ask myself that from time to time to actually try and see what I want to get out of it myself. Like, we have to continue to modernize. We have to continue to, you know, use Connect properly, you know, ensure teams are using this new app to the fullest of what's there. You know, there's changes coming in terms of club mark in the FAI. Some clubs have been on to me already, looking like one of the things you need to get if you're looking for this club mark is a letter from the league stating, you know, how you're faring and you're a club since X year and you're in good standing for A, B and C reasons. So that will force our hand in the UCFL in how clubs are going to have to operate into the future. You know, I think I'll go back to it. You know, we would love facilities. You know, there was talk, the subcommittee back in 2017, there was talk of any team in the Premier needs a private pitch, which I think, again, it was before my time, it got very close to being implemented. And I even know from a Glasnaíon perspective, like we'd ALSA lined up at the time out by the airport as a pitch, and we had it for a year when we thought that might be coming in, and it wasn't implemented, and we've ended up on city council pitches. But, you know, little things like, you know, I'm sure you got your footballs at the last manager meeting, you're like using the same type of footballs. It's just professionalising. So you would hear different people in Irish League of Ireland talking about like everything's improving. You know, the league has to do the same, or in that case, I think it was the referees have to improve. But, you know, in our situation, it's like facilities, making sure you have proper nets, making sure, you know, the product, as people keep talking about now, is as professional as it can be. You know, plenty of clubs have the VO footage now as well. You know, I'd hate to think that clubs are, you know, publishing their VO highlights from a match, and, you know, people are saying, Jesus, you can't even see the line on that pitch. Is the pitch even marked? Or you have the nets that are like, you know, all disjointed or to one side, and it'll be like, the nets look terrible. Or, you know, the football, you know, like, you wouldn't obviously be able to see it that much, but like, Jesus, that looks like a training ball. Like, you know, standardised using our current sponsor is Umbro, so standardised to use the Umbro match balls that everyone's being handed out 2 or 4, depending on the number of teams each club has recently. So it's probably something we need to do a bit of work on, to go back to your question, and actually looking to future-proof the league and kind of future-proof the league and look to where we want to get to. Again, a lot of it will come down to facilities and how clubs conduct themselves. Little things like matching shorts and socks, which we're not brilliant at, you know, in terms of you go through phases, like you get a new kit maybe once every 2.5, once every 3.5 seasons, and shorts go missing and socks go missing, and then you'll have somebody that'll have, you know, Adidas and there's a white trim instead of all black for us, and then you'll have somebody that might have, you know, some type of shorts and there might be a different colour or a different crest. One of the lads was wearing Kevin's shorts last week, and which is a bugbear of ours, but like that, a lot of that will come away, will just mandatory. Like, I know that would have been in years ago that there would have been a potential fine if players weren't all in uniform gear.
I think our lads do that as well. We have a few plans, shall we say, to implement different things to make us look as professional as we can be, and probably as a whole then make the UCFL look as professional as it can be.
Yeah, it's a joint effort from clubs and in the UCFL as well, you know. But as well, like the VOs going around, you can see clubs with their technology is coming along as well. So it's very important that UCFL keep on that trend with FI Connect and to keep taking it up another level. Yeah, like there is a league, I think it's the Munster Business League or Cork Business League, who are kind of the leaders in terms, I would say, in terms of an online presence, and like they VO every match. I think they're on nights, so there will be 2 or 3 matches on at the same night, so they just stick the VO up for the night. And they do highlight reels of the week's games and like top goals or goal of the season and all of them things. That's brilliant. It really is, and that's exactly the route that, you know, I believe we should be going, and we should be kind of showcasing that there's a lot of good players in the league. There's an awful lot of good clubs. There's obviously an awful lot of, you know, voluntary work going on in the background. We should be trying to showcase it all the time. John Mooney does brilliant work on the social media side, you know, but I think the next step is looking to maybe standardise, you know, we try and VO, you know, whether through the help of the clubs that have access to them, or maybe go out ourselves. Or I know there's a guy off Malahide who's looking at a bit of an enterprise himself and going out and offering VO services to clubs. But I think that's all good, and we need to be able to showcase. Again, go back to it when you're go back to the election for a second. You're talking to politicians knocking at the door looking for your vote. You know,
we need to make sure that they know what the UCFL is. Certainly in Dublin, you know, whether it's a highlight reel, whether it's a packaged up, here's the updates from Division 1 this week, or some of the stuff that John does on social media using Canva and professionalising it there. That we're using Canva a good bit ourselves for match graphics. I'm sure you guys will use it similar as well. But like, we brought that into the league. That's probably Aaron brought it in maybe about a year ago now. But instead of just having a Word document with the fixtures, that you have the crests and times and different colours, and as one of the guys, Paddy from Glenlure, the secretary then, like, it's about the product, as he would keep talking about. There's plenty of clubs that really, really have a good product in terms of their social media. Livorno have really good kind of clips of matches if they have the video there, but they also have, like, on their match day stories, they're really like instant updates, sometimes updated before Connect is updated. All that is really, really important. And if we can take a bit, like, a bit from you guys, a bit from Glasnaíon, a bit from some of the guys using the video to put it out forward to get UCFL on the map, I think that's probably the most important thing.
That's been brilliant, Ian. Thanks so much for coming in to us today. UCFL official as well. It's huge for the podcast. So
cool.
Hopefully we get a lot more views. And just to wrap it up, thanks to Ian for coming in, Ruairi for co-hosting with me today without Gareth while he's on the bus in Krakow.
Worse about it.
Yeah, Gareth, stay in Krakow. You're not finished. No, thanks everyone, and hopefully you tune in for episode 4.
Yeah, and again, just thanks to our sponsors, The Hut, to Joe and all the team. We're obviously upstairs now enjoying a few points. Ian's driving, unfortunately. But thanks to the lads as well. And if you're in Fitzroy, make sure to stop by. But no, as Sean said, Ian, thanks very much.
No problem.
We'll wrap it up there.
Thanks.